lifestyle. And America has been something that I've aspired to go and get an MBA. And so my parents had the foresight to really believe in education as a way of changing life. So they sold the house that they owned in Sofia, gave me $11,431 from the house. And I was accepted in many prestigious schools, including Harvard and Yale, but I couldn't afford Harvard and Yale. So I settled on this small private university in San Diego. It's called the United States International University. And I came to the US to pursue the American dream. Following a little schooling in San Diego, I discovered that San Diego was not my cup of tea because it was too beachy, and I thought the people were a little too laid back. I was very driven. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to find this job that would give me, put myself through college. So I ended up finding Lake Tahoe. As a work, I came here actually for a job, and immediately I was really drawn to the mountains, to the people, to the skiing. I had all of these things back in my life, right? Again, connecting back with who I was as a person. Now I started working in my marketing career in Lake Tahoe, and I discovered, I was a marketing director for Ski Resort for 10 years. I worked for a media company for 5, and then I started my own agency, a digital marketing agency, when social media went really big. And I had no problems getting clients and being on that hustle in the rat, working 18-hour days, sleeping with my iPhone. My health started to deteriorate. My marriage was like, I would have dinner and then go back to work, which a lot of us do these days, right? Because we can't separate work from life. We have a hard time. And most of us, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, even professionals, we bring now we work from home, so we don't even bring it home. Now we just can't even separate that. So basically, bottom line is I was pretty close to burnout. I was unhappy. I was pretty stressed out. And I realized that something has to change. And this is when I did go on a 10-day digital detox trip to Baja California Sur. And all of a sudden, I was able to connect with myself. And I was able to say, wait a second, both of my parents passed away early, and they didn't get to retire. And that's a pretty in your face kind of experience. And then I said, why am I doing this for? To make more money, to spend more money. I would, to relax, I would go online and do some online shopping. So I had an online shopping addiction of sorts, and that wasn't making me happy. I wasn't fulfilled. Yes, I was working with great clients. Yes, I was making great money. Yes, I had a team. And part of me, that ego-driven part of me, the overachiever, type A entrepreneur, was like, I'm winning. Yes, I'm winning. But no, I wasn't winning because my health was deteriorating. I was spending more and more time with hospital visits for one thing or another. I wasn't happy with my marriage. I didn't have any time to play. I didn't have any time for joy because I considered play being, a non-productive thing. And my brain was frazzled, Hector. It was like, I would go from one project to another, and at the end of the day, not being able to achieve anything. I had no mindfulness or meditation practice at that stage. So fast forward to, trying to figure out what my values are. I realized that my values are for living a fulfilled life. My values are for being connected with the outdoors and being connected with nature. My values are for having joy every day. My values are for living a fully multi-dimensional life, which is what Unhustle is based on. Work is just like one component of life, and I have nothing against like meaningful work, intentional work. I think it's critical for our success, for our joy, for our fulfillment in life. But there are all these other components, like what you guys talk about, the financial aspect and the relationship aspect and the well-being aspect. All of them make for a multi-dimensional, complete life. And when I realized that, I was just going on just one part of life, and I was missing all the other key components. And so I downsized my agency. because we decided to start sharing our life between Lake Tahoe and Baja, where I was very connected with nature. I was connected with people who I loved and hang out with. And I was playing. I was, kiting and mountain biking and doing yoga. And all of a sudden I became alive. So my talents remain very strongly in leadership, in thought leadership, in entrepreneurship, in digital marketing. So I combined my passions from my values with my talents. The opportunity, the way I saw it, lied in this whole craziness, our busy life, our hustle culture mentality, and saying, wait a minute, if I am experiencing all of this and being so unhappy, being so successful, I'm sure there are other people doing the same. And so when I combined all three, all of the sudden, Unhustle was so clear to me that this is what we need, that this is what brings so much more meaning to our fast, crazy, busy lives. And this is how Unhustle was born. And this is how I connected with my fulfillment and my purpose. That was a long story, sorry.
No, well, but you nailed it. And I think you are living the fulfillment triangle.
Yes.
And whether it was, like I said, intuitively, or you said that there was research involved, I just want to honor you for that, because you are the example. You are the story and the proof to all of our people in our community that you can do it, right? I mean, a lot of our people are a lot of our people are community.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say that you speak to people who are in so many places, right? And a lot of our community is at the beginning where they were when you were in their 20s, and they have that decision to make a big decision, to go after it and to pursue what they want. And a lot of them are in that position where they had the quote unquote success. They climbed the ladder. They did all the things that they were supposed to do. And now they're looking around and realizing that they're not actually, happy or fulfilled with it. And so now they're thinking about climbing that second ladder, which you've started to do now, and building the second business. So let's
stop right there for a second, because that's like one of them. I'm working on the Unhustle book right now, and that's like a big chapter in the Unhustle book, and I call it unlearn. So I have like an unlearn and unthink sections, but the unlearn part is exactly what you said. People think what they're supposed to do based on what society tells you, based on what your school tells you, based on what your parents tells you, based on how we've been raised for so many years. And it's so difficult because we define success by titles and material possessions and by the jobs. And I have nothing against hard work, but I have a lot against this whole hustle mentality and what success looks like based on what we've been told for so many years, right? Because money is a great thing to aspire to, but money doesn't necessarily bring you joy or make you happy. And I work with a lot of people who have a lot of money that are not happy. And I just want to really break this down, that it is so counterintuitive, because it's so difficult, especially when you're stepping outside of school and you have a huge student loan, which is a whole different conversation. That, I came to this country with the house my parents sold, which again was $11,000, that I basically spent in the first 6 months in the country. And I was working 8-hour jobs to put myself through college. And I had a student loan, and I had to do everything possible to pay it off. And so, of course, you get into that trap of, I have to work, I have to start a business, I have to pay my student loan. So that's a whole different, on a societal level, a whole different conversation. Because if you didn't have that student loan, you probably would be you have a little bit more breathing room to say, well, what do I really want to do, right? And who am I? And what makes me happy? All of a sudden, instead of going, oh, I need to make X amount of money to pay that student loan so I can buy a house and all of these other stuff, right? So that's a difficult conversation to have when we're not in control of it. But what I'm trying to say is, knowing who you are and living your authentic life. And there's a lot of millennials right now saying, I want fulfillment. I'm not about the material possessions. And it's really good to see that, because people are getting more and more awakened to the fact that what makes you happy and what brings you joy is really the smaller things in life. It's not the It's not the house and it's not the car. And somehow we fall for these comparisons. And again, social media doesn't help with any of this, right? It's because when you see all of your friends, well, now we can't travel, but everybody like having a good, all these polished, filtered lives, all of a sudden it makes you feel bad. And all of a sudden you're going, well, what am I doing? Why am I such a failure? And so again, society puts all these comparisons on us, and it's a question for ourselves to unlearn what society tells you, what school tells you, what your parents tells you, what your friends show you they're doing on social media, and get in touch with yourself and get in touch with your own values and figure out what makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself and not with what your friends or what your parents tell you.
Carolyn, you have some kids that they're not there yet, but they're knocking on the door of figuring out, which direction, whether it's college or whatever they're going to be doing. You have that decision coming up down the pipe in a few years. I feel like you have thoughts on that, or maybe a question from Milena, but do you want to hop in and share a little bit about your perspective?
Yeah, Milena, I'd love to understand, and maybe you could share with our audience a bit more around when you discovered, you said, learning, the releasing the conditioning is really what I was hearing. And so we face quite a bit of conditioning. And like you said, the shoulds, the would, the coulds, all of those things, and unlearning those things. And I'm interested a bit about that transition when that aha moment happened, because a lot of our listeners, they may have children like I do, as we're thinking about what the next step is, particularly right now when we're struggling with, okay, some schools are going back in person, some schools are going back online in less than a month, and trying to make those decisions that are around education and what feeds, like you said, like just like our fulfillment triangle, and just like what you're teaching is the what is it that you love? What is it that brings you that fulfillment? And then okay, well then what's next? So could you share a little bit more about your aha moment, and then also what your thoughts are about someone who's trying to figure out what's next?
Thanks, Carolyn. It's a great question. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that understanding that we have choices. And yeah, a lot of it, it's getting out of that guilt trip of, well, if I do this, what are people gonna think? It comes down to connecting with what is that you want to do, and understanding that there are trade-offs. So when my aha moment happened in the middle of the Sea of Cortez, when when I was floating behind a kite, which I was learning to kiteboard. And I don't know if you know what kiteboarding is, but it's a kite strapped to a board, and you have about a 40-foot line of rope connected to the kite. And to me, it's a very, very dangerous experience. So you have to be completely present in the moment. And it was probably my first experience with mindfulness. I hadn't, up until that stage, I had dabbled a little bit into meditation and like, I think I meditate and here and there. But all of a sudden, when you're thrown into this, it was an experience of complete state of flow. It was a complete mindfulness moment. And all of a sudden, I could see everything gets quiet around you. And all of a sudden, it was just me and the ocean and the wind and the sun. And all of a sudden, I had this very clear moment in my mind as to what I wanted my life to be. And it's so hard right now because we have so much overwhelm, so much uncertainty, like you mentioned, kids going back to school, what do I do? And it's hard to find that piece of moment of tranquility and connection, which is exactly why my training took me through a mindfulness-based stress reduction. And I have a daily practice of mindfulness and meditation, because it's in this moment of mindfulness and meditation you can get in touch with your heart, with your soul, with your gut, with your instinct, and seek the wisdom in your body, as opposed to trying to analyze it in your mind and in your head, because we're living up in our heads and so little in our bodies. And our bodies contain so much intelligence we can tap into, which is why when we talked with Hector about the Unhustle morning practices, this is why we spend time in nature. This is why, there's a mindfulness component, a meditation component, because it's these moments of stillness that you can make the decision to move forward. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Pareto's law, the 80-20 rule. I don't know if you guys talk about it in your organization. It's like the principle of least effort, but basically it's the exact same thing. When 20% of your efforts result in 80% of your output. So it's trying to figure out what's the 20% in your work and in your life. And when you do that, you can, and how do you do it? You do it by introspection. You do it by going deep. When I get busy, and trust me, I do, when I get overwhelmed, and I just walk away. I actually go for a hike. I step out of the computer, because I know that when I get into that mode of overwhelmed and anxiety and stress, I step away and I connect with nature. I go for a hike, I go for a paddleboard, I go do something that connects me with my body. And then you get that clear moment. Basically, my experience with kiteboarding is what I'm trying to recreate, which is why, again, the Unhustle morning practices they prime you for that flow state, so you can work in that state. You can see clearly. And we spend so much time in second guessing ourselves, right? It's all these shoulds and guilt and what am I supposed to do? The only way to get to clarity is through presence. And the only way to deal with the fear is with presence. The only way to see clear in a way of confusion is through presence. So, for example, here's a quick exercise. I'll give you a few like practical things for people to do, because that's like, well, she's talking about presence, but how do you really accomplish that?
Hey Milena, I want to get into your morning, because I think that there's quite a few things. I think there's, or maybe it's the 7 different days of your course. You have stillness, intention, nature. I'd love to get into those. Before we do, because I feel like that's going to be a meaty discussion, I want to just play devil's advocate, because another group of our community, and it's the ones that we've been working with and reaching out to recently, are so far from fulfillment. They're just trying to figure out how to survive. They're just trying to figure out how to make it through the day, whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, even their circumstances or environment. When you talk about, I love Lake Tahoe, by the way. It's a beautiful place. I think about some of the kids that we're going to be working with in Detroit in a couple of months. They're so far from that place. They're so right. far from so I would say my question to you is, how does the Unhustle, how does that apply to that person who's literally just trying to make it through the day, and does it have a space for that person?
Absolutely, Hector, and I'm so happy you bring up this point. Now, remember, I come from a communist country. I didn't always live in Lake Tahoe and have the choice and the ability to go out and go for a paddleboard session in the middle of the day. I come from a communist country where we didn't have any food in the fridge. And sometimes I get, in our household, I get too focused on working, and like yesterday, we don't have any food in the house, and my husband's going, we have no food in the house. What are we supposed to eat? And I looked at him and I said, there's enough food in the house for like a month based on how I grew up. Now, I grew up when you open the fridge and there's anchovies and pig's feet, and that's it. I mean, there's like nothing else to eat. Remember I told you the story how my parents had the foresight to introduce me to nature back in these days. And it doesn't matter where you live. You can look at the sky. Now, currently I'm reading a book which I highly recommend to everybody who's just trying to survive. And the book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And it has to do with immigration, with the concentration camps. and how when they had absolutely nothing, and you're treated like nothing, and you have very, very little even desire to live, you can still find meaning. You can still share a piece of bread with a friend, or you can, give somebody a hug, or you can look at yourself with completely different perspective and not lose your attitude. And I think I'll have to paraphrase his quote, but I think he said the last of the human freedoms is not losing your attitude. And so even in this super, super harsh environment, when you're cold and hungry and sleep deprived, you can still choose attitude. And I highly, highly recommend this book right now, because it really puts things into perspective for everybody who's just trying to survive, because it does take shifting your perspective. And that book will shift your perspective, because again, we have choices, but finding joy in the little things on a daily basis. And what are the little things? A smile, a deep breath. I mean, I'm talking simple things, things that like hanging out with my dog. These are things that are available to just about everybody. And finding joy in a tough situation is a lot about the unhustle mentality. And that's why I don't like to talk too much about happiness, because to me, happiness is very elusive. I like to talk more about finding fulfillment and joy and meaning in every basis. Like I woke up this morning and I looked at the clouds, and they have these really pretty puffy clouds, and that put a smile on my face. And things like that are very, from a mindfulness perspective, is like finding the things that bring you joy on a daily basis. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
so
it's maybe more needed for someone in that, because that may be all the tools or the resources that they have at that moment.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that book if somebody's like struggling to find meaning right now. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is a really good one.
Let's dive into the how, because I know a lot of our community likes the resources, the tactics, the okay, now what do I do? And you've got a full course on it. And so if people want to really dive deep on it, they can, and we'll give you guys the link at the end. Actually, it's just onelifefullylived.org/unhustle. You guys can get it there. But take us into some of the tactics and some of the how-to behind the unhustle.
Sure. So I created this course based out of my own personal experience, and based on researching, what successful people do, what are some ancient and modern practices that really resonated with me, but also what seems to be working from a philosophy, mindset, fulfillment perspective. And then I try to formulate it so that they actually made sense to me. And I've been doing this workshop with a lot of people over the past couple of years. And I see it becoming so relevant in today's times, because we're all working from home, we're all busy, we're all overwhelmed, we're all like, how do I deal with this? How do I find meaning? And so I tapped at the Unhustle morning. I call it the Unhustle morning, but I also use it, I call it the sunrise method, because there's 7 key practices in the course. And it's the sunrise method because that made sense to me. I can remember it myself. So the sunrise method is the S stands for sleep. And why is it on a hustle morning start with sleep? It's because sleep is one of the most important things we can do for our well-being. It's the most important thing we can do for a feeling good perspective. If you're trying to produce during the day, if you want like a high performing day, then sleep is the most critical thing you can do. Now, why is this a morning ritual? Because if you have the ability to get some sunlight on your face or your body in the morning, it actually changes your hormones and you can fall asleep easier in the end of the evening. Of course, that also has to do with managing your blue light in the evening, but it's basically a biohack. which I'm training. So getting sun on your face in the morning increases your melatonin so you can fall asleep easier in the evening. So, and I also like to combine or stack all of these practices. I also don't really call them a routine. I call them tools in your toolbox that you can tap in based on how you feel each day, how your energy is, what you need to do that day. So pick and choose however you like, but I'm going to walk you through all of them. So sleep is this S in the sunrise. U stands for unplug. And I found that with myself, like if the first thing you do is grab your phone, which so many of us do, right? You wake up, it sits on your nightstand, you grab your phone, you check your emails, you check your social media, your attention is done. Your focus for the day is done, because all of a sudden your brain is starting to think about how you're going to respond. You have to do this. All of a sudden other people's priorities become your priorities. And so I like to designate an hour to an hour and a half in the morning for my most focused work. You know, these are all practices that prime you to get into a state of flow. So if I check my phone first thing in the morning, I know I'm done. There's no way I can work on my book. There's no way I can like work on something more intentional. So I like to keep my phone on airplane mode and not touch it until later in the day, until like 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever I can afford to go without my phone. It's a super hard thing to do though. I mean, we all know it's addictive. And so the one thing you can do is maybe leave your phone outside the bedroom and just keep it charging in another place. It is hard to do. It's taking me years. I am still not perfect. I still have my days when I grab my phone. Let's not be confused. And I just monitor my behavior. I'm a little bit more self-aware these days. So I know when I grab my phone that my day is, or at least my morning is not going to be as productive. So I'm just very cognizant of it. N stands for nature. If you're in a place where you can connect with a little bit of nature, even if it's a plant in your house, nature has got a very calming, it's got a very distressing abilities. It also, I practice my mindfulness while I'm outside in nature, so I'm kind of stacking the benefits. If you can connect with nature in the morning, it just sets you up for a calmer, more focused day. R stands for reading and writing, because we are working on our creativity. We're all working on our communication skills. And when I'm talking reading and writing, I'm not saying read the next business book that's trendy. I'm talking read some of the classics. And I'm not talking reading for an hour. It's like take 2 minutes and read a page. And writing is the journaling activity, which it's again very introspective. Anyone can do. You can journal about your day. Excuse me. You can journal about your day. You can journal about your intentions for the day. You can just journal as to what comes to your mind, you know, whatever you need to offload. Reading and writing are great activities to do in the morning. Like take 5 minutes to do them. I stands for intention. And because we have so much going on, I like to use this Pareto's principle and try to focus every day. What are the 20% of the effort that are going to generate 80% of my results? And I try to come up with 3 projects for the day that are like the absolute key, most important. Everything else to me is busy work. So 3 projects for the day. I try to get them done in the morning. And I believe that scales my productivity so much. And then I leave everything else, all the emails, all the other minuscule things for later on. And you know that you and I tried to connect online, and we had a bit of a hard time in there trying to find when was our meeting. That's because I don't spend my time in my inbox. You know, if I'm trying to write the book, I'm not going to spend my time in inbox. And it's a struggle because everything goes through email. We're trying to get everything done, but email is a big time suck, just like social media, just like TV. It's like it takes you time and energy away. So intention, 3 things for the day. S stands for stillness. In sunrise, the second S stands for stillness. And that's like your mindfulness, your meditation, your gratitude practice. If somebody is searching for meaning right now, gratitude, I highly recommend it. It takes seconds to do. Seconds. You just think of 3 things that you're grateful for. Keep it super simple. Within 21 days, it's scientifically proven that your brain starts to wire new neurons and you feel a lot happier. So 3 things. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that I had water to drink this morning. And I'm grateful that there's food in the fridge. So, gratitude, mindfulness, meditation, super, super important practices. In terms of meditation, there's some apps that I have in the course that are free apps that you can meditate with, guided meditations. It doesn't matter what meditation you do, and it doesn't matter how long you do it for, even if it's like a couple of minutes a day, just take that time for stillness. Mindfulness is something I practice throughout the day. So you can do mindfulness while you're doing the dishes. It's just doing one thing at a time and be fully, fully present with it and observing your experience. It's something anyone can do wherever they are. And the final one is my favorite one, and that's E stands for energy. And energy, because we all need energy throughout the day. As you can see, I'm quite high on energy right now. So some of the things in there are mindful movement, just moving your body the way your body wants and needs to move, whether it's dancing, whether it's yoga, qigong, tai chi, a quick HIIT workout. I'm not calling it a full workout. This is not like your workout time. It's just whether you go for a walk outside, it just gets some blood moving. And I have a self-massage in there, like a qigong little self-massage that's basically just tapping on your body that anyone can do wherever you are. And just kind of get the blood going. I have a pretty steady energy throughout the day. So what are some of the things that people are going to hate me for this, but some of the ways to get energy in the morning, a cold shower. Like have a hot shower and then at the end turn the knob to cold for like 5-10 seconds. It invigorates you, it energizes you, it improves your resilience, it improves your immunity, it's good for your health, it jumpstarts your metabolism. I hate it. I do it every morning because I know it's so good for you. It gives you clarity, it increases your creativity. You might have heard of the Wim Hof method, breathing with cold shower. It's just so good for you right now. It's free. We have our breath, and it's a huge anchor. Breathing is a huge anchoring practice. So even if you don't meditate, if you don't do mindfulness, breathe. Just take a few minutes to breathe in the morning. And I also like some kind of a brain food, high performance kind of food, which basically means staying away from sugar and giving your body something that would give you energy, whether it's like more of a protein, low carb breakfast or like a bulletproof coffee or something that won't spike your sugar. So just staying away from sugar is a big one for me in the morning, because then you can focus your day and get some work done. So all these practices, again, picking and choosing based on your energy, based on how you feel, just knowing the practices. And if I wake up in the morning and I'm still sleep deprived, and if you can afford it, get some more sleep before, don't even worry about a workout, get more sleep, because it's going to be so beneficial to you. If you have a ton of energy, you wake up in the morning, then get a quick workout in. Have like a 7-minute workout in there that doesn't take anything but just your body and the floor. Everybody can do that. 7 minutes, you guys. Everybody can do this. So that's the course. Again, all of these practices are good for your well-being, are good for your focus. So they're kind of priming you to work in a very highly focused state, at least for an hour and a half in the morning. And that's why I like him. And that's the Unhustle morning.
Yeah. I was introduced to personal development through Hal Elrod. And I think that's actually where Carolyn and I got originally connected, was through the Miracle Morning. And what I think it's great, but what it is missing is honoring your needs. And you said it at the beginning that, that's the essence of this is figuring out what do you need and giving it to yourself. Whereas I love Hal and everything that he's doing, but it is for a different purpose. It serves a different purpose. And I think that, both are needed as well. So Carolyn, was there anything you wanted to follow up on or clarify, or any questions you had about some of the tactics that Milena had offered?
Well, I really appreciate that you went through what the unhustle means in the morning, because that's helpful to understand as we kind of in the morning reset and then prepare for the rest of the day. And so I love that, in that we can get present, and then so the unhustling of the mind, the body, the spirit, and then your method in your course then sets us to be successful for the rest of our day. And then again, reset in the morning. And I love that. I love that you have you've added an energy that gives us the permission to take care of ourselves.
Thank you, Karen. And speaking of permission, this is exactly what I want to emphasize with the Unhustle Morning, is giving yourself permission to not do all these practices every morning, to pick and choose, again, based on how you feel. But this is exactly, you nailed it. It's getting present with yourself. It's taking a few minutes for yourself, which we feel so guilty about, because we always put other people first, right? It starts with checking your phone, with, you have kids running around the house, you're always providing for other people. And I think it's giving you the 10 minutes, the 15 minutes, the however many minutes you have in the morning, to just take care of yourself. Because as your day speeds up and you get pulled in different directions, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my workout later in the afternoon, and I'll just do a quick 7-minute workout, and then the afternoon comes and you don't have time for yourself. But if you do that 7-minute workout, at least you're like, well, at least I did something. And it's just that time for you to check in with your needs, to check in with your mind and body, and say, hey, what do I need today? And give it what it needs. Because I have seen it over and over again, it gives you so much more power and so much more energy to deal with everything else. But it also makes you more resilient too. It's that presence piece that makes you a lot more resilient. And I think that's exactly what people need right now, because of the overwhelm and the stress. It's how do you deal with it? Being present.
This is a fantastic conversation. And I've been showing you guys, those of you who are watching the video, we've been pulling from Milena's website. And so if you go to onelifefullylived.org/unhustle, you can get the course. And it seems like there's quite a bit in there. You've got some extra bonuses, some resources, PDFs, ebooks, and then obviously there's a community that's starting to build as well. Anything else that you think would be that we missed about the course?
Yes, there are some bonuses in there. One is how to free up 2 hours in your day, a PDF.
Yeah,
One
it's
is
called Take Back 2 Hours a Day. That sounds beautiful. Carolyn and I would, the things that we would do for 2 extra hours a day.
So how about I do this for the community? I'm going to drop in a link right now, and people can download that PDF directly. Here's the PDF. People can just download that PDF right now, and that's one of the bonuses in the online course, so they can at least kind of experience some of these things, and hopefully this is helpful. There are other bonuses in there is how to deal with stress and overwhelm, procrastination, imposter syndrome, all of this. There's another PDF in there that teaches you that. And there's some free meditations that are recorded by the lake. There are over 40 videos. They're very short videos. And it honestly takes 10 to 15 minutes in 7 days to run through all the videos. And it's basically, they're all with me. They're all filmed here in beautiful Lake Tahoe. So if you need some nature, one way you can get nature is you can even look at the screen that has nature in it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And no, thank you so much, Hector. If people have any questions with regards to the Unhustle Morning, they can contact me directly, Milena@unhustle.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions with regards to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
onelifefullylived.org/unhustle. That'll give you the access to the course. And because Milena is awesome, if you go to onelifefullylived.org/2 hours, you'll get the free PDF. So we don't like to give you guys multiple links, but if you go to onelifefullylived.org/2hours, you'll get that ability to download that PDF.
And I thank you so much, Hector, for linking that. And I believe I'm one of your coaches. So I'm not sure how you want to do this, but if somebody can, I don't know exactly how your process is for the coaching, but I guess people can coach with me, right? For free from the One Life.
So we have a contributor club. The One Life Contributor Club is our monthly, a group of monthly supporters who give and help fund all of our programs. And one of the perks and bonuses is, I did not know this, but they get to coach with Milena. So we have a variety. Let's see, right? She's right here. We have a variety of coaches in all of our different core pillars. So vision, finances, relationships, and Milena is one of our coaches in wellness. And so if you guys are members of our Contribute Club, you guys can actually work one-on-one with her, and so that's exciting. I didn't know that. Thank you for your support and for giving to us. It means a lot. You know, time is time. You know, we talk all about today. Time is so valuable, and so that excites me. You go, guys, go get in the Contributor Club, onelifefullylived.org/support, and get in there. Lots of links for you guys.
Thank you. And thank you so much for everything you do. I do see a lot of cross sections with what Unhustle is and what One Life Fully Lived is. And I think what you do is so, so valuable. And so I appreciate everything you do. And the community seems to be really growing. And I love the One Life Fully Lived roadmap as well. Very, very on spot, very spot on.
Carolyn, Milena, anything you guys want to leave the community with before we sign off?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and giving us your goodness and sharing all of your knowledge and energy with us. Really appreciate it. And we love having you in our community. Thank you for supporting us. And thank you for giving to our community.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And yeah, just let's keep doing what we're doing in these uncertain, overwhelmed times. I think presence is a big gateway to dealing with all of it.
Thank you guys for tuning in today. We're back next week, same time, with Miss Sherry Thacker, talking more about wellness. Just some kick-ass women that are coming up on the lineup. So enjoy your guys' Tuesday and keep living your one life fully lived. See you guys.